you're having a good day. I'm going to do a video today on my 2 willow leaf cuttings, and it should be a really quick video, so I'm just going to kind of include some of my trip to Wiggerts here. First thing you're seeing here is a bunch of pictures of bald cypress. It's amazing how I never really even wanted a bald cypress tree, and then I get those 2, and suddenly I'm kind of fascinated with them. But they have a bunch of good ones that are way out of my price range. And then I did take a picture of a really cool looking crepe myrtle. And then also another picture of a Brazilian rain tree there. Sometimes when the sun's out like that, it's hard to get really good pictures. But if you're local here and you're looking to get into the hobby or just looking for cheap ways into the hobby, if you follow them on Facebook, they'll post every now and again that they have used pots up for sale. I got me a bunch of them here. Let's start to I'm going to show you the cheapest of them first. This one, it's a little bit wider than most of my training pots. Not quite as deep. I was specifically looking for some things to help me, train some of these trees I have a little bit better for their nabari. And then this one, is only $1, so it's definitely worth it. You can see it's got a crack in it. It says crack. I made a little joke about how that's even cheaper than it was in the 80s. I don't think anybody got it. And then this one, just a little black ceramic production, $5. Can't beat that for $5. And then there's this one here. I got this one for 10. Again, this one's a lot wider than, it's just a little bit bigger than that one that said crack in it. But it's a lot wider, a lot more solid than that one, a little bit deeper too. But I should be able to make good use of it. This one's actually one of the ones that I saw in the picture that I really wanted. Nice and wide, and yet still really thin. I think I might get one of my tiger barks in here. I might put them in one of the other ones, I don't know. But I kind of keep my eyes out for the really, really wide and thin ones. And for $18, couldn't beat it. It's about the size I was looking for, the thinness I've been looking for, about as wide as I've been looking for. This one says Japan 20. And then this last one here, also Japan. This one was 25. This is the most expensive one of the lot I got today. That looks pretty good. No kind of a stamp or mark on the bottom. I did pick up a couple plants too. Hard to go up there without picking up anything. This is a Turk's cap hibiscus. Got a little movement in the trunk. Doesn't look like it was done by a chop. Actually looks like it would have had some damage at some point. Got it mainly for that. The rest of them were all pretty straight. I've always been on the edge on whether I really wanted one or not. I figured one day I'd get suckered into it when I showed up there and they had a couple in bloom or something, and sure enough, there was this guy. And then I got this guy too. You can see here that it's been pruned recently. Prunes right at the top of the camera. So Powderpuff Cascade actually was in a section called Rose Powderpuff Cascade. They had another section called Tropical Powderpuff. You can see this trunk here has just a little bit of an age look to it. The rest of them, or the other newer ones that they had, or what I assume are newer ones, just basically the stick in the pot. And then I do believe, I already pulled some of the dead material out. I do believe that they had just pruned this because it just got done blooming. And generally speaking, with shrubs like this, you prune them after they bloom. And then when they're keeping pre-bonsai material like that, I think they do the same thing. I got this one just because I noticed it was one of the ones that had some evidence of some surface roots kind of going in the right direction. Got 3 on that side. None on this side really. There's a 4th one here, but it's not really on that other side. But it does look pretty good, I think, for a good starter tree. So I got those 2. All right, and here's the first willow leaf cutting I ever got to take. It's the only one I ever got to take that's not a root cutting. The next one I'm going to look at is a root cutting. But considering It's got a bit of an ugly trunk going here. This was, if you look at some of the old videos, I mean, this will be in the Willow Leaf playlist, but if you look at some of the other videos with the big, huge scar on my big one, that's actually where this came from. It was the, I discovered on my microcarpa that I could take much bigger cuttings than I ever thought, and so I tried it with the Willow Leaf and got this one to take. And then, of course, at one point, I actually have a video for this one where it started rotting out a little bit, and I kind of did a bit of a kind of an emergency repot with it just to kind of save it there. And I'm very happy that it's still surviving. I mean, it is now. That's coming up on, I think, like 3 years old or something like that. You know, it's got some really good health. Only got 2 pieces of wire on it, and this top one is cutting in something terribly, so I'm going to take the top, at least the top one off. Right, I don't know if you guys can see where it was cutting in. And I was going to get a couple of these sprouts that are just kind of coming out in some bad places. And I think for these lower branches, I think I'm going to leave that piece of wire on there. Not growing nearly as much as it was up here. Now that I've pruned that back, might get a little more growth out there, and I'll just pull them off when I notice it cutting a little more. All right, and then there's this one. This is actually a root cutting. And from what I understand about root cuttings in general, not just from ficus trees, but pretty much anything that'll strike a root cutting, I understand that making a decent Nabari is kind of an uphill battle with them just because of the way that it was already a root when it took. And I can understand that. I can already see where that could be a problem trying to build one on this. So what I've decided to do, I actually have it in this slightly deeper pot here. And since it's plastic, and I did get it to take in some decent substrate too, because if you go back to the video, I'll try to find the particular one when I did repot the bigger tree. It was long. The root actually does go almost all the way down to the bottom. It was about the only pot I could really get it to stay in and be able to utilize the whole root. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan on cutting down the pot further and further, and maybe trying to make an exposed root out of it, just depending on what it looks like when I expose some more. If not, you know, I'll just get it repotted in something, you know, a little more quote-unquote normal one day. But for now, since it's in here and it's in, you know, decent substrate and everything, it is a little bit of, I do remember I mixed a little bit of used stuff in there because I was a cutting. Wasn't anything that I had purchased or anything. I did decide to just use some used stuff. But anyhow, I saw it, you know, just kind of exploding with growth. These willow leaves, they do get pretty interesting looking red foliage at first. Just not quite like the Cancina does, but still gets a little red tint to it. I understand that's just something to keep it from getting, nature's way of keeping it from getting sunburned before the chlorophyll fills in and makes it green the rest of the way. So when I saw it getting bushy like that, I was really happy. I was like, well, I'll just let that thing grow, thicken up, and really do something. And then I realized that all of these shoots are actually coming from the exact same flat cut top of the root cutting there. And that's just going to cause a big bulge, which would be impossible to fix, or more and more difficult to fix the longer I let it go. I do see a few of these are starting to get some sub-branching off of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and get a little bit of a better look at it. I'm going to cut the top of the pot off just because the substrate level right now is already about that low. I'm going to cut it to just a little bit above that so I can get a better look at it, and probably take all of these shoots off but one. And since a few of these do, like I said, have some sub-branching coming off of them, let that one take off, and hopefully that'll start getting some more branching and kind of bush out a little more. still might be hard for you guys to see, but all that branching is just coming from one spot. When I'm done, I'll probably come in with knob cutters. Try to shave that off a little bit better. Let's see. So this one has 2 lower branches, and then it's getting some more ramification up there. This one's going straight up, only has the 1 lower branch. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this one out and just leave that one. What I'll do is I won't take that growing tip, in the hope that this just continues to go and takes care of that knot there a little bit. I'm going to take about half that knot off. Not quite the whole thing. I don't want to push my luck with it just yet. And if I leave, if I am leaving this on there without even cutting the growing tip off, that should leave plenty of momentum. Really soft wood. And yeah, that should heal up nicely, I think. And allow those branches to grow out some more. Might even have something worth wiring by, I don't know, midsummer or so. We'll see what happens.